Good morning, everyone. For my presentation, I shall discuss the matter of Singer's position in his book, Practical Ethics, on taking life, humans. The situation is whether it is morally right to commit voluntary or non-voluntary euthanasia in order to assist in the death of a human being. I will first briefly give Singer's position, then discuss the four arguments against euthanasia and how Singer responded. Finally, I will give my critique on his position. In his book, Practical Ethics, Peter Singer argues that it is not only possible, but it is justifiable to assist in ending the life of a human being through voluntary and non-voluntary means. For voluntary euthanasia, he states how people look towards their doctors to end their suffering should the pain become too unbearable. The Netherlands did a nationwide study which concluded with people being comfortable with having the option of euthanasia. As for justifying non-voluntary euthanasia, he used examples of infants with severe disabilities such as Down syndrome. There are four main arguments against the practice of voluntary euthanasia. Singer manages to articulate a response to each one. The first is that killing self-aware beings that are capable of understanding their own death has horrible consequences on other beings. Singer refutes this, saying that people who want to take their own lives have no intention of spreading fear, for if you do not want to die, you do not have to consent to it. In fact, by drawing out one's ultimate demise, you induce more fear of death to other living beings. The second is the preference ultraterrianism, seeing the victim's willingness to survive as a necessary reason to not commit euthanasia. However, Singer counters this, stating that preference ultraterrianism is not against voluntary euthanasia. Just as one wants to live as a reason to not kill is just as equal as a person wanting to die as a reason to not to kill. The third is that a being has a right to life if one wishes their own continued survival. Singer responds is just as one has the right to continue their own life, they can also relinquish their right to live it if that is their choice. The fourth one involves the respect of autonomy to allow self-aware and rational beings to decide how to live their own lives based on their choices. Once again, Singer explains that if we must respect the anonymous decision to live, we must respect the decision to die. As for non-voluntary euthanasia, let's look at the case of a child with Tay-Sachs disease. With this condition, they would lose the use of sight, hearing, swallowing food, along with becoming paralyzed, lose mental capacity, and suffer many seizures. A child with this condition will die before the age of 5. To Singer, this is not only a life not worth living, but it is a burden that the parents have to burden mentally, physically, and financially. Therefore, it is completely justified to end the life of a child in order to end their suffering. For my view on Singer's belief, I think he did a masterful job in explaining how euthanasia can be justified in our society. He proves that as long as the person is in constant, unbearable pain and wishes to die, that it is our responsibility to carry out their demands. He also proves that killing those who feel no pain or fear of death is justified since they have no conscience of a future. He brilliantly counters each of the four arguments mentioned in this presentation. While I believe that Singer presented a perfect argument, I wish that he used two specific factors in allowing euthanasia. The first factor is religion playing a factor in being for or against euthanasia. In many religions, including Christianity, committing suicide or killing someone are major sins. Would they see voluntary euthanasia as assisted suicide and non-voluntary as murder? The second factor is the genocides of religious cults, such as Jonestown, Solar Temple, or Heaven's Gates. This is complete opposite from the Holocaust, in which Nazi soldiers committed involuntary euthanasia to Jews. For people in cults wish to die even though they are in perfect good health. Would Singer put this in the category of voluntary or involuntary euthanasia? I will conclude this presentation with 3 questions. Why do you think Singer did not include religion as a factor for being for or against euthanasia? Would Singer consider massacres of cults such as Jonestown as voluntary? And if given the choice, would you give permission to the doctor to end your life if your condition is irreversible? Thank you for your time.